This is National Chess Master Rats here with another video from our team match with by Vista Group. And man named Oscar won this game. Going to go through these moves. Okay, a lot of times the bishop gets misplaced on c4 unless you're planning to play the open variation. Often maybe black can play for e6 and d5 or for a6 and b5. So far black's not doing that. Now, this affords the bishop maybe a place to tuck itself back to if it's pestered too much. Eventually it may come into play here. And ideally, if black has its green side, we want it pointed over there where the arrow shows. Okay, we'll just move forward. Okay, so now he gets into d4. The game's relatively even. White has a little bit of space. The black has no weaknesses. If white advances a pawn, black should be fine. E5 is probably out of the question. There's going to be a trade on E5, and white will lose castling privileges. If he pushes D5, he's in effect closing down the diagonal of his bishop. So it's best for white not to force anything, just develop pieces. Now it could get a little risky here because we didn't defend the pawn directly. Now, can black exploit this in any way, shape, or form? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is queen a5 check. Okay, what does this do? Well, it puts white in check. But it also, it plans to take this pawn. So maybe bishop d2, and then the queen might back up to b6. Okay, now black has some twin threats. Black's attacking the b pawn and here. So bishop g5 just doesn't smell right. Let's and then it could even go this way, but of course now the bishop could capture the knight, perhaps. Let's see. Bishop takes. Let's take here. Now there's a threat here. Let's see. Here's a tricky move. If it's going anywhere, but it sure looks tricky. It protects the rook with the extra defense. Okay, the queen comes back and takes. Now we take this. Yeah, it's getting kind of crazy. Let's see. Now, we're going to advance this pawn, pick up a tempo on the bishop. And we get one of those checks. There's an interesting gambit here. White's giving up the exchange. Black's king is getting displaced. Where's he going to put it? Let's try here so we don't shut in the bishop. I don't know. Black should be okay here. I just didn't. Bishop g5 just didn't smell right to me. Queen b6. Let's see. White could play queen c2. That seems to defend both threats. Okay. Of course, the queen is overloaded. It's guarding two squares. What happens if we take? Now this doesn't work. We just take it. But now we can grab this. Okay. Now White's going to lose the exchange here, I think. Okay, castle. Let's steal the rook. Now the queen's out of play, so there's no guarantee that black's going to come out of this unscathed. Let's see. Let's attack the knight. Okay. Let's see. Let me go back to b8. I want a little bit of say-so over what happens on d7. Let's check. Now if the bishop comes here, we have something diabolical. We can take this. Now the bishop is pinned. And there he is. This is how you analyze correspondence chess. White's threatening the rook, threatening a mate. I mean, there's certainly a lot of stuff here. So maybe queen a5 check just to get rid of this bishop might be better. I don't know how much time the players spent on these continuations. Let's get this position back. Let's give the check first. Okay, let's give the check first. Now this is the natural move. You could bring the bishop back. I think I was suggesting that earlier. We still have this move, but now now e4 is under protection. So queen b6 is an interesting move that you have to be prepared for. And black didn't play it. That doesn't mean he didn't consider it. We have to give him the benefit of the doubt. We hope that he considered it. That's how you play correspondence chess. You look at all the possibilities. You know, I was picking queen c2 to guard. Queen e2 does the same thing, but the queen is still overloaded. Let's see. And, you know, on this move I was playing here. Now we can save this, but now we lose the bishop, and, you know, I don't know, this queen's a little out of play. Let's chase the queen. There's a couple of squares to go to. Now white needs the castle. So it's similar in some respects to the Najdorf Sicilian poison pawn. Black often gets this pawn structure, but there's a few key differences. This pawn is not on a6 as it is in the Najdorf poison pawn, and this is not here. This pawn is not there. So queen b6 was an interesting move. But the move he plays is perfectly safe. Bishop e7. And, you know, the game is even. Okay, so now both sides are developing. And now he's trying the old center fork trick. But it doesn't necessarily, well, it might work. Let's see. Okay, his idea is after the knight takes, he wants to play d5. Okay, so maybe this does work. Let's see. First off, let's look at this move first. Okay, now black has some choices. Knight takes. Now we're both on the queen. Let's see that as if we take the queen. Looks like black won a pawn. Okay. I think black's winning a pawn here. So maybe knight takes e4 is good. How does black lose this game quickly? You know, knight takes e4. Now this is the time for the fork, but he doesn't do it. He takes here, and that allows white to escape the fork. What if we do the fork? Okay, this is the whole idea. Okay, now if white moves the knight, he's going to lose one of the bishops. Let's come back here. Let's do this. Let's take this. Let's gain that tempo. Okay, now when you take here, now let's see. White's up a piece, but let's see. We can take and maybe drop this knight on c5. I don't know if black's gaining that much from this. Got the bishop, but I don't know. You know, interesting position. We can pile up on the pin piece, trying to gambit this pawn to get a rook active. I mean, a lot of possibilities. A lot of interesting possibilities here. But he doesn't play d5. You know, white had other choices too. He can take here and then bring the knight back here. But you know, here, white's accepting an isolated queen pawn, but he's got the c file and a half-open e file. It's ready to maybe liquidate. This should be in black's favor. Okay, let's go back. So he didn't play d5. He captured on g5. But the drawback is right now he's down a piece and he's not getting it back. So, you know, it's too late now. So black has misplayed this, and white's won a piece. Now there's a threat on here, but this is just putting black's king in danger here. There's going to be some good moves for white here. You know, knight e5, with the idea of bringing the queen into h5. We don't care about this pawn on d4. He plays here, which weakens his position. So what's black doing? He's down a piece, and doesn't really have anything for it. And now he's got a threat down here and a threat here. So white makes a calculated risk. He's going to give back his piece. I don't like that idea. Grabbing a pawn with check. And now black's got his piece back, but white has some, still has some attacking chances here. The G1 seems to be in the offing, but then we have a check here. And now a pin. And here, this seems to be a mistake. White, well, let's see, maybe I'm wrong. This is a threat. Okay, so we don't have time for this. So it looks like white's piece sack was good. G4. Now the pawn's secure. It cuts down the mobility of the bishop, but black's trying to avoid a quick getting checkmate here. I don't know, you know, I mean, this check is still strong. And it looks like black is headed for getting mated here. Yeah, he's getting checkmated here. So this was a good move. Maybe we just need to take it. But black's going to go down a pawn here, a minimum. I don't know. He's still getting a checkmate. You know, that king is getting mated. Good game, white. Okay, let's clear the board. Bring up the other game. Okay, there we go. I have it here on my. This folder here. Let's see. And Oscar. There we go. Select all. Copy. Okay. Add the PGN. Okay, flip the board. Okay. This one's quick one, 27 moves. So far, so booked. Usually a little premature to do this, although it does happen in some lines. Okay. Looks like we're transposing into a book. If knight F6 with E1. Now we're going to go. No, he doesn't play that. Might be risky to take this. Let's just either castle and consider a martial attack or the main line. Okay, if white plays rook E1, he does. So now we've reached one of the main lines. If black wants, he can play the martial attack. Okay, martial attack. Pawn takes, knight takes, knight takes, knight takes, rook takes, C6, or the old original line, knight F6. Okay, both of those are playable. You know, the idea is that black is going to be, the pawn he's sacrificing is going to get an attack. Bishop B7 is certainly playable. Okay, so D3. It might have been a wiser move to play D4. Okay, let me explain why. Okay, on D6, D4 is prevented because of bishop G4. And black's supposed to be doing fine here. You know, it's because we have so much pressure on D4. So what they've determined is that the best move for white is to play H3. And now black has a chance to counter in the center. You know, and this is all theory and main line. Now we come up here to maintain a strong point on E5. Keep that, and you know, countless games have been played with this position. So when black doesn't have the option of playing bishop G4, it might be, oops, where are we? Okay, now we didn't play D3. I'm going to back this up. Let's see. Okay, it might behoove white to play D4 here because we don't have this this bishop G4 at our disposal. And you know, if you take, you know, white's got a nice looking pawn setter. Black's given up that strong point. Can he keep the strong point with D6? Well, yeah, it looks like he can. You know, probably the game is still even, but I think D4 is more aggressive and probably a better move, but I don't know the exact opening theory on some of these sidelines. So he doesn't play D4, he plays D3. Let's find it here in all the notes. Let's do 3. Okay, so rook c8 doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. You're putting a rook on a file that is blocked by a pawn and blocked by a knight. So maybe white should try to pry open the a file now. A4 with the idea pawn takes. And white controls the file, and if black wants to waste a move going back, white's happy with that. Okay, plays there. Makes sense, logical, develop pieces. But, the game is still realistically very even. Now here, he does come up with this move after all, but at the cost of a tempo. So we could argue that black has returned to tempo playing here. Okay, now black's got to be a little careful. There could be some exchanges where the queens come off, but at least he's got this bishop on e7 guarded. Okay, by that I mean if the queen takes, clearly on the knight can take, but we've got the bishop on e7 covered by both a knight and a bishop, a knight and a rook. We'd have to take with the rook to keep guarding the e-pawn. We'll see what happens. White turns down a queen exchange. Now see, here's the tempo loss. So both sides have lost the tempo. The rook took 2 moves to get to d8, and the pawn took 2 moves to get to d4. The game still looks even. Okay, offering exchange. It might behoove white just to retreat, avoid the exchange, and gain a tempo here on the pawn. He doesn't. Okay, his idea is that if you take the bishop, I'm going to come down here and play knight c5 and chase your queen back. So he returns to here, but maybe white should do this move. Okay, so black either has to accept some permanent weaknesses in this position, or allow this knight to come into this great square. Now it looks like you need to come back here. Now this is just such a wonderful knight. Do we want to trade it for that bishop? Maybe. Let's see. I have an idea. Let's take it. So this way, this bishop gets back into play. Now we're on a great diagonal. And this bishop of opposite color is not on a great diagonal. Now what's protecting the square g6? The answer is nothing. Can white take advantage of that? Well, his knight doesn't have a clear path there. It's going to get captured. Well, I'm not sure what, the only thing we really want there is the queen because it would have a threat. You could argue here that white's bishop is better than black's bishop, and you could argue that white's knight is better than black's knight only because white's knight is attacking the pawn and black's is defending it. But, the game looks pretty even. It's going to take a mistake for one side to lose this quickly. Anyway, he plays h3. It really serves no function. Black has no plan or good reason to place a knight or a queen there. Some people like to play these moves so the king doesn't get back rank mated. Well, it's a waste of a move. If you're going to do that, you do that about the time your rooks aren't defending the back rank. Okay? And then if you're going in an endgame, you don't want the king there. You want the king coming out this way and playing towards the center. So h3 doesn't help white. The game's still relatively even. Now this threat is protected against because we can take with the queen now, avoid the double pawns. The bishop covers this. Okay, but very, very level looking. White's putting the king in the corner. Maybe black wants to try to play the knight here. He's willing to accept the double pawn because it opens up the e5 square. Okay, what does a3 do? Nothing. It weakens b3. This bishop is tied down to guarding the knight. Okay, there we go. Knight comes into play. He's going to sink one without getting double pawns. There you go. Attacking the queen. Oh, well, I guess that's playable, but the knight taking was good too. He immediately gains the tempo, and And who knows, there might be a sacrifice down here at some point. So, of course, this pawn is in black's way if he's trying to bring a rook up and over. He's probably another reason you won't move those rook pawns up. So he took with the pawn, which clears e5. We can now use that square. But maybe not. Let's see. Now the queen comes back. So it looks like white's making some progress here. And now he steps into a pin. So here, at the very right, I don't think white's making progress. He makes a losing move. Okay, so what should white do here? Here's an interesting idea. I don't know, it could be double-edged. Okay, knight takes. Hello. How's that for double-edged? Okay, now it looks like white is getting checkmated. And even if he didn't have that, let's see, if we take with the rook, well, we still have that, but we can attack and defend. But of course, we had queen takes h3, so this is a moot point. So we don't want to play e4. We don't want this knight can't leave the square, okay, because of the threat down here. So just knight takes, and I don't know what else white has. He doesn't have queen here. He doesn't have queen here. But good games by black, Mr. Oscar, and thanks so much for watching. Take care.